Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now November 4th of 2020, and ever since the very end of the Skywalker saga, a lot of fans around the world have been very intrigued about the future of the Star Wars franchise by Disney, Lucasfilm, Bob Iger, Bob Chapek, you name it, and exactly what's coming into play here when it comes to the overall Star Wars universe. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Disney Star Wars is that we do know that they are currently in a phase of desperation and damage control to really get the ball rolling again when it comes to Star Wars. We do know that George Lucas, Dave Filoni, and Jon Favreau are all working together as a team to really deliver as much authentic Star Wars material as possible. That's exactly what they are trying to do. They are trying to really give us exactly what the fans want to see either on the big screen or at home on a streaming service like Disney+. Now, looking ahead to the future here, we do know that everything related to the new movies, they're really trying their absolute best to make them far superior than the sequel trilogy movies like The Last Jedi and Episode 9. And when you look at it in that sense, obviously we can see that Disney is becoming very ambitious with Star Wars. They're really trying to, either because they're desperate or that they genuinely want to please the fans, they really want to make Star Wars as successful as possible, if not more successful than the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that, by the way, is going to take a lot of time and effort and a lot of work, as well as a lot of very talented creators, be it directors or writers, to come on board. However, what's really intriguing all has to do with the new Star Wars trilogy and, of course, creator George Lucas of all people. And this is where it begins to really tighten up and get very interesting when it comes to this new universe. Now, specifically, of course, now that both Disney and Lucasfilm are finished with The Rise of Skywalker, they are now focused on their new Star Wars universe as well as the new Star Wars trilogy of movies. However, it's explained that as of right now, both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek are developing major plans in order to reunite the Star Wars fans around the world, in order to make Star Wars as successful as it can be. However, it's noted that recently major changes have been made by Disney CEO Bob Chapek, where creator George Lucas is said to co-write the new Star Wars trilogy that is currently in the early works over at Lucasfilm. It's said that Lucas is hard at work on pre-planning the new Star Wars trilogy of films that will dive more into the Force and the Jedi, that will unveil new secrets about the light side and the dark side of the Force within the Star Wars franchise. So once again, I think that this is going to be a very interesting process, how George is co-writing these movies that are currently in the early development phase as we speak, and it's going to really focus more so on the dark and the light side of the Force. That to me sounds very interesting, because when we look at the sequel trilogy, it wasn't as Force heavy, right? Or as in-depth with the Jedi and the dark side warriors and stuff around those lines. It was kind of focused heavily on the Resistance, a large portion of the sequel trilogy was, and now we're getting pretty much, from what it seems, a strict new trilogy that's going to be embedded within the dark and the light side, the overall Force itself. And I think that's a very good move on Disney's end, because I think that they know that there is a fan base out there that actually prefers to see everything between the Jedi and dark side warriors, or the Sith, whatever it may be, apart from things like the Resistance and stuff around those lines. I think that there is definitely a big gap there, for sure. So, moving past this, alright, it's also noted that Lucas is going to be the one who will actually be able to choose specific writers and directors of this new Star Wars trilogy, and also is going to be the one who will actually be developing the Sith King of Exegol in this new Star Wars movies, and that Lucas has already been in the talks with actor Keanu Reeves to portray this character depending on his schedule of his other movies that he's currently working on. So Lucas is going to have full creative control over the design of the Sith King of Exegol. If you guys have no idea what in the world that I am talking about, the Sith King of Exegol was actually a very big character, or once was a big character that is not written just yet, but it's going to be a significant character. It actually is going to tie directly into Episode 9. In fact, that throne that you do see in Episode 9 is not Palpatine's. That is actually a throne that once belonged to the Sith King of Exegol and the Sith Eternal overall. So, they're going to focus more on the unknown regions in this new Star Wars trilogy, and that George Lucas will be in full creative control over how the Sith King will be used and how the unknown regions is going to be portrayed in these new Star Wars movies. Honestly, I like the direction already. It's going to be very dark and gritty, and I think that a lot of fans out there really have wanted to see something to that extent in the Star Wars universe. So, past that as well, alright? Further, it's described that the new trilogy that Lucas is co-writing will also grant Lucas the power to choose specific writers and directors for the new films that are going to be far darker than Revenge of the Sith, where further it's described that Lucas will be using many of the unused concepts and ideas from the prequels that will be inserted into the new trilogy in order to give it an authentic feel to the Star Wars fans. Now, as of right now, they are debating on using the Roman numeral format for these new movies, like episodes 10, 11, and 12. Even though, guys, I don't agree with that, because this is actually going to take place before episode 1. It would not make any sense in any scenario to call it 10, 11, and 12, but that's what they are actually negotiating and debating right now. Now, George Lucas is best described to also be working on a brand new dark side family that will be the limelight of this new trilogy, where there will be a king, queen, prince, and princess in these new movies that will be associated with the dark side, and that it will be loosely based off of medieval times in order to give it a very gritty feel to Star Wars. So once again, we can see that with the sequel trilogy, they kind of had loose connections, or loose inspirations, I should say, to the medieval times, right? And that's exactly what they're going to do more so in this new trilogy, to really give it that Lord of the Rings-esque feel with Star Wars in the mix. And that's exactly what they're aiming for. They're aiming to make this like Lord of the Rings mixed with Star Wars. At the end of the day, that's what they want. And I think that it's going to be a very interesting twist, or spin on Star Wars, if you will. I think it's going to be very much superior than what we got with the very end of the Skywalker saga, episodes 7, 8, and 9. I think that we really are on a roll here to see something very original and authentic by Lucas and other creators coming on board, which we're going to get into that in just a second, by the way. On top of all of this, Lucas is said to also want to cater to the hardcore fans of all people in order to make the best Star Wars films with other directors and writers on board that will honor this new dark side family in the Star Wars universe. Additionally, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau will be helping George Lucas with the new Star Wars trilogy of films in order to keep the passion within the fandom. The new trilogy is also said to have a brand new composer, and that Lucas has already chosen a new composer for the movies, and that this will be unveiled sometime in late 2021 next year. So keep your eyes open, because we're going to learn more and more about this new trilogy as we go into next year. And that's going to be a big deal. It's going to give us a lot of excitement about what's to come in Star Wars Celebration of 2022, when we're really going to get a big glimpse of this new trilogy and these new Star Wars films. I honestly cannot wait. It's going to be quite an experience. We're a little ways off, but we're getting closer with each and every, year that passes by. So, additionally speaking as well, alright, this new composer is described to have a similar sound to John Williams in order to keep the magical feeling of Star Wars intact, so that they can deliver a great experience for the Star Wars fandom. This is described to be Lucas's way to honor John Williams by finding a great replacement, since Williams no longer wants to work on movies since he is getting up there in age. This new trilogy will also feature tons of Star Wars Legends content that will be making its way into the new universe, and that all of this will be regulated by George Lucas in the long run in order to give the fans a satisfying experience from what they loved in the 1990s and 2000s. It's said that Lucas is actually co-writing the films and how he's actually co-writing them was all a decision by Bob Chapek, the new Disney CEO. That's another reason, I think, as to why we need to love Bob Chapek. He's making big things happen. He's doing amazing things with, The Mandalorian Season 3 as we speak right now with Jon Favreau. Cannot wait to see that next year. A lot of great things are coming out of Star Wars, and it's something that I think a lot of fans should really look forward to. So yeah, guys, like I've said before in the past, drop a comment below. Let me know about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.